Joining us is News Corp Europe correspondent Sophie Elsworth, who is there on the ground. Sophie, thanks for your time. Actually, she's not quite ready for us yet. So the other thing I want to talk about while Sophie gets ready is Donald Trump has been transformed by this. I mean, Trump has performed a limited, targeted strike. It was appropriate, it was measured, and he will not only transform potentially the Middle East, but he's transformed his own standing. Sophie's ready for us now. So let's go to Sophie. Sophie, thanks for joining us. Obviously, this is a dramatic change in the conflict with the US entering the fight and with 3 nuclear sites taken out. What's the general mood in Israel? Are people rejoicing or are people now full of trepidation about what is to come? All right, we're going to have to wait for Sophie. They're obviously trying to get live from Israel, is going to have some issues. Let's keep talking while we wait for her to be ready.
Well, picking up on that point, there are many elements within the MAGA movement. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who've reacted strongly, saying, no, the US should not have struck Iran. This is dragging us into another forever war. But it's the opposite of a forever war.
Well, he's not suggesting regime change, is he?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Sophie Elsworth is with us. Let's try again. Sophie, thanks for joining us. What's the mood on the ground in Israel? Are people thrilled with America's introduction to this conflict and what's been accomplished, or are they scared about what is to come potentially from Iran?
Well, James, great to be with you here from Tel Aviv. Look, it's a mixture of both. I've been out this morning speaking to locals and residents and tourists who are here on the ground. There's a mix of relief that Israel has really had a good result from what Trump achieved overnight. But this is not over yet. There are people here who are saying, yes, this is a good win for Israel, but there is a long way to go. There's definitely people smiling and walking around feeling some sense of happiness with what was a result of these attacks on the nuclear, situation there in Iran. However, there is definitely people who I've spoken with this morning saying that they are nervous. And one man I approached, I said I was Australian. He was a local here, and he did not want to talk to me. He said the government has not been of help. He got very agitated, and I had to walk away from that situation. So here on the ground, it is tense.
Israel is now entering a new state of emergency. What is life like for Israelis right now?
So basically, everything is in lockdown. For those who are not familiar with it, like myself, I've come in last week. It feels like you're in a serious lockdown. Obviously, we are in a war zone, but everything's shut. There's cafes and things like chemists and supermarkets open, but pretty much everything is shut. You can't just go into restaurants. You can't go shopping. Schools are closed. Kindergartens are closed. And people have been told to make sure that they are close to a bomb shelter. So if the siren or alerts come through on our phones, which they did at 7:30 this morning, we have to be able to run to safety quickly. And I must say that was incredibly stressful this morning when we got those alerts. I was down on Tel Aviv beach just walking outside my hotel, and there were people swimming in the ocean, and the sirens were coming. We had loudspeakers warning people quickly, get out of the ocean and run to shelter. There was people standing in the bunker with me in their swimsuits, dripping. We had to run pretty quickly, and I could feel the actual vibration inside the bunker underneath the hotel. You could feel the vibration. You could hear the missiles, the attacks going above. This is a very tense situation, and there's no doubt everyone is on high alert.
Sophie, what's happening with Australians there? We know there's a number of Australians, a few hundred there. People have been trying to get out. There was a lot of criticism of DFAT, who I think gave people 55 minutes notice to pack their bags and get a bus from Tel Aviv. For Australians trying to get out, is that now just not possible? They've just got to bunker down, or are DFAT still offering some kind of hope that Australians can get out of the war zone?
Well, look, DFAT are doing their utmost given the situation here, James. It's changing very, very quickly. But they have been told this morning people were due to leave on buses here to go into Jordan to get connecting flights to Dubai and Home for Australia to Australia. They are obviously cancelled. The airspace here is also shut across Israel, so you can't get it out by air. You've been told there's no bus services. People are really realistic about it too. I've spoken to some Aussies today here on the ground who said, look, it's not safe. This is actually the right advice, of course. We can't do much about it. We just have to sit tight. But they don't know when they're going home. There's 3,800 Australians in Iran and Israel together who are trying to get out of the Middle East and get home as quickly as possible. But at the moment, they are staying put.
Well, in the last week, Iran's launched around 400 missiles, which is believed to be around a quarter of their stockpile. Only around 25 of those have actually made direct hits in urban areas. Yet we've still seen, I think it's over 25 Israelis killed and hundreds injured. I mean, the scale of what could have potentially been had Israel not had the Iron Dome to intercept a lot of these missiles and had all the missiles that were fired, all 400 of them, actually hit Israel, what would the scale of tragedy have been?
Well, Freya, I don't even want to think about that. People here on the ground don't really want to think about that. They just want to be safe. They want to be close to their family, close to their friends, make sure they have an exit strategy, because we all know here and around the world this could have been far, far worse. But you go around the different communities across Israel, you see destroyed buildings, you see people who have lost absolutely everything. And the thing that has stood out for me most here is the resilience.
What's the sense in Israel like in terms of, do people think they're living through a historic moment? Obviously, Iran have been their nemesis for a long time. Do people feel like, you know, finally, this is tough, but finally we could change the entire environment of the Middle East? Or do people feel like this is just more of the same and another war and here we go again? What's the feel in that sense?
James, the feeling this morning that, yes, this is a dramatic shift. This could actually change everything, but there's no one's resting easy. No one's like, this is over. We don't know what's next. We don't know when the next strike is going to hit. No one can predict that at the moment. Many people are obviously incredibly grateful for the technology they have here in Israel, the Iron Dome that has protected civilians here on the ground, but it's the unknown. And last night was one of the few nights Israelis have had a full night's sleep. There were no attacks last night until Iran retaliated at 7:30 a.m. this morning. But I was in Jerusalem yesterday, obviously a very holy city. It was Saturday, it was the Sabbath, and that place, which was normally bustling with tourists, was an absolute ghost town. I almost had Jerusalem to myself. There were so few people around. It's a bit of an eerie feeling.
Just one more question, Sophie. Of course, this news has completely overtaken the other news that's occupied us for the better part of 2 years. There are still Jews held hostage in Gaza. Is there a move to try and make sure those people and that conflict is not forgotten, even as Iran now threaten Israel after the dramatic events of this morning?
Look, obviously, James, the war with Iran has taken, focus to everyone on that. But behind me here is the memorial, one of many memorials across Israel for the hostages and those who had their lives lost in October 7. It's very moving behind me with pictures of people who are held hostage and also people who were murdered in those horrific attacks on October 7, 2023. So certainly, no doubt, that is not forgotten. But at the moment, all the media, all the focus is on what is unfolding, because this is an hour-by-hour situation. And even today when we're out on the road, we're constantly thinking, where is our exit strategy? I was in the car the other day with the photographer and we had to quickly pull over, run into a university and run to shelter. We were out on the road. So you've got to always think, if something does go wrong, you get an alert on your phone. How do you get out of this situation and somewhere safely very, very quickly?
Well, Sophie, thanks for joining us tonight. Definitely stay safe, and we look forward to your reports from Israel throughout the week. Thank you so much.